Welcome back, guys, to the Hip Hop Report. I am your host, Rambo Hustle, and today we'll be discussing something I would like to call the Kanye West Gambino theory. Now, basically, my thoughts are that things happen in threes, and those three themes being the J. Cole KOD album, in addition to the Kanye West Breakdown, and now This Is America by Childish Gambino, his epic return into music after his Saturday Night Live appearance this past weekend. First and foremost, I like to say that I think it's very important for us to be aware of what's actually going on and not what you're being spoon-fed by the media. All these places have an agenda. They all have some sort of angle when they promote certain artists that they know will get them more clicks, more views, and a larger audience. They're going to feed you exactly what they want to see and what you want to hear that's going to create the biggest uproar. Childish Gambino's This Is America is only visualizing the KOD album of J. Cole and also putting a mirror to people to question the things that Kanye West was trying to relate to us in his very shitty selected wording of his TMZ interview. Now, of course, I think if you haven't watched the 30-minute interview, you're an idiot, and you should probably go back and do your homework. I do not believe that This Is America was about America at all. I believe This Is America was basically called This Is Black America, and that Childish Gambino was trying to deliver a message to the African American community, potentially minorities, into saying, these are the things that they've spoon-fed us to believe. These are the things that they're trying to tell us that are valuable. This is what we have been led to believe we have to live for. And this is not actually true. And if you look around you and realize the tragedies and the things that are happening around you and aren't so quick to brush these things off, you might see that there's more to gain out of this life, from the kids up on the second rafter looking at their phones with their mouth taped shut, to the third to last scene where he pulls out a joint after murdering 11 people. And also, obviously, there's a lot of things in the J. Cole message of the youth and drugs, social media, and things that are also addressed in this video. And basically dancing his way through this warehouse full of, rioting, police brutality, murders, and tons of havoc that your average person would probably try to get out of there, if anything. We have to quit the shit. We have to create some consistency. We cannot ask for equality and for people not to judge us for our views, our beliefs, and the things that we enjoy in our free time if we are going to do the same thing to them. So people, please quit the shits. Now, there's a couple other pieces that lead me to believe very strongly that J. Cole and Gambino both relate to Kanye West's message and struggle. First of all, J. Cole is about to go on the KOD tour with Young Thug, an artist that essentially represents everything that he was against and targeting and quote-unquote dissing in his album, and more specifically his 1985 song. So why does this make sense? Well, you look at the fans, look at how they reacted, look at the uproar about, oh, I can't believe he's going on tour with Young Thug. What is wrong with providing the fans two different sounds, two different soundscapes that allow people to be exposed to new ideas, new concepts, and new ways of appreciating and listening to art? We have to quit the bullshit. Also yesterday, about 45 million views later, Childish Gambino was becoming a target because he is with a white woman. Childish Gambino, Kanye West, and J. Cole are all fighting for the same purpose, and that is for us as humanity in whole, humanity as one unit, to become equal and to be able to coexist with my neighbor and my other neighbor and the other neighbor and their neighbor, whether they are green, black, orange, pink, purple, or blue. That, my friend, is the Kanye West Gambino theory. Please elevate your minds, absorb the message, and if you so are offended after the fact, after you analyzed and read in between the lines, because these are not professional speakers, these are rappers, these are artists that can't always communicate in the best ways. And I think the idea to discredit Kanye West and everything he's done for the hip-hop culture based on something like this, and then go back in called Childish Gambino the savior because of a music video that basically visualizes and portrays what Kanye West was trying to warn the community about is insane. We have to treat these people that are very valuable to our culture, and specifically music and hip-hop culture, with a little bit more of care. With all due respect, it's Rambo Hustle, the Hip Hop Report. Peace, love, and hip hop. Subscribe, little bitch. Back up on my bullshit like I'm masterminding Watergate. Now, of course, this thing has been broken down, dissected, and analyzed probably 1,000 billion trillion times online, so I don't want to dive into that as much, but I do want to go into a few aspects of that visual that I felt were particularly important and telling of the message that he was trying to convey. The first being the transition from the original melody that you first hear, a very uplifting, a very soulful, and a very, let's say, native sound to the African culture, where you kind of feel the acoustic guitar. Now, of course, Childish Gambino's character is revealed to then pull out a gun and shoot that character who's playing the acoustic in the head, killing off what I believe is the old soulful sound at the feet of the younger generation, who seems to be dismissive and somewhat disrespectful of the music that came before them for the sake of their own paychecks. Now, as Gambino walks forth, he hands over a gun to a young kid to the right as two other kids drag off the body to the left. This to me represents two things: black on black crime, as well as the no snitching culture, as we don't trust and don't feel that police have our best interests in mind. The third piece that I think is extremely important is the choir scene, where we transition in from the first verse after the choreography dance, the kids on the car playing with money, and we get into a scene that has been compared to the Charleston massacre of 9 people in a church being massacred by the white gunman. Gambino wants to portray himself as committing that particular crime to see how people react to it, because of course popular culture has led to believe that it is only white gunmen that gun down and create mass murders. The second level rafter, where we see kids on their phones with their mouth taped. It seems to be focused on the idea of social media, how easily our children can get information and access to either real information or fake information, yet they don't seem to be able to communicate with one another to create their own ideas and thoughts. Again, another piece where Kanye's freedom of thought could definitely play into this particular concept and really correlate with the idea of mental slavery through social media, technology, and the propaganda that we get fed every single day. The camera pans back down into one of the most iconic scenes in the entire video, where Childish Gambino is in the distance with the 5 kids doing maybe the most popular dance of 2018. Now, in the distance in the background, again out of focus, you see the white horse with the black hooded character that essentially represents death. To me, that's a very telling moment where we put into play the idea of death being just around the corner. And despite of our innocence as youth, or our focus on pop culture and the things that we deem important, whether that be cars, money, women, or material things in general, we are that close to death and don't even realize it. The camera starts getting a little bit closer to Childish Gambino, and he essentially stops once the camera gets close enough and everyone's as he taps into the cold part of my theory, where he, instead of facing reality, he decides to just light up a joint and go about his business. Because our culture right now and our youth, it's a lot easier to be more desensitized to the reality of pain, struggle, and maybe lack of freedom. The music kicks back on. Now, this is a very key point for me, because this is the first time that we get both the initial melody and the trap bass heavy melody merged together into one. Now, as that happens and he walks off the scene, you see the man that he gunned down early in the video, Childish Gambino, saying, "Look, I've reached the top of my mountain." Actually, this second to last scene, he's being enlightened and trying to find a way to not only better himself but his future. However, the last scene, which to me is the most pivotal, is when the camera turns around and now Childish Gambino is running into the camera with what seems to be a crowd of people chasing after him. Now, ironically, this is the first time that we hear or that we see Childish Gambino in fear. You know, despite murdering a man, then murdering 10 people in a choir, and some sort of distraught fear and showing some sort of remorse for, you know, potentially what he's done so far with his life. Maybe he's running away from the lack of accomplishments, or he's fearful of certain things that he can't explain, or he's fearful of authority, or he's fearful of white America, or whatever the case may be. Throughout everything that we've seen so far, this is the first moment where we actually see fear in the eyes of Childish Gambino. Back up on my bullshit like I'm masterminding water.